This lesson video will guide you in how to create in-text citations for your essay in English 5. Let's talk about sources. Before we talk about citing sources, I want to make sure you understand how sources are connected to your essay. For this writing unit, you have several sources. The sources are the 5 articles provided for you in this unit. From these articles or sources, you will find textual evidence that supports the position you're taking on the essay prompt. When you put textual evidence in your writing, you need to cite, you need to tell where you found the information. Whenever you're writing an essay, there's one very important step that must be followed: citing sources. Citing sources means you're telling your reader the sources you used for your writing. You must give credit to the owner of the information that you use in your essay, otherwise it's plagiarism. To plagiarize means you are presenting something as your idea instead of information from an existing source. There are 3 types of in-text citations, and notice that abbreviation ITC. We use it throughout the unit just to shorten the amount of words you have to read, but it does mean in-text citation. There are 2 places you're going to cite sources: within your text, within your essay, and in the Works Cited page at the end of your essay. You'll be guided through that as well. On the Works Cited page, you provide more complete information about your source. In-text citations are required for textual evidence in your essay, whether it's a direct quotation, paraphrased wording, something that is put in your own words, or a summary. The next few slides teach you the guidelines for these 3 types of in-text citations you may use for this essay. We'll start with using quotations. If you use the exact same words, something the author says or something one of the characters says, as they appear in the story, you must put quotation marks around the words. At the end of the quotation, place quotation marks, but before you put the end punctuation, you put the in-text citation. The end mark goes after the ending parentheses. Let's look at a model. If you have a quote, it's in the quotation mark, and notice there's no punctuation before that second quotation mark. There's your quote. You have your in-text citation, and your in-text citation includes the author's last name and then the paragraph where you found that quote. Notice where the end mark is, after the last quotation mark. If the author's quoting another expert in the article, the ITC includes QTD in, which means quoted in. So that would be an author quoting another author. Here's the model. Here's the quote from the article, and it was quoted in this author's last name, or the person who wrote the article, and the paragraph number. That's the in-text citation. There's the end mark. If there's no author, the in-text citation contains the first main word of the title in quotation marks along with the paragraph number. Here's a model. You're quoting something. There's the main word in quotation marks and the paragraph where you found it. That's the in-text citation. There's the paragraph number and the end mark. Let's look at some models for a quotation from an article you have read: Twitching Disorder Affects 12 Girls. Symptoms include stuttering, uncontrollable twitching movements, and verbal outbursts. That's a direct quote from the 2 authors of the article. The authors' names are Dolan and Carroll, and notice the paragraph number where that quote was taken. One student woke up from a nap and said, "I got upset. I couldn't stop stuttering." This was quoted within the article by someone else. So, quoted in, the authors of the article, and the paragraph number. For many, all it takes is a lyric or one song before they're hooked. This is an article with no authors, so you'll see the first word of the article in quotation marks with the paragraph number. That's the in-text citation. Paraphrasing. You paraphrase information if you take the information from the source that you want to use as evidence and put it into your own words. That means you should not use the same words at all, if at all possible, but you should express the same idea in your own words. As a side note, there are technical words where there's only one way to use them, so you have to just be mindful of more specific technical language and also language that you could express in other words. Even though you're using your own words, you're still borrowing the idea, and therefore you must cite the information with an in-text citation. Here's a model: paraphrased information, in-text citation, the author's last name and paragraph number, and there's the end mark. Here's a model for paraphrasing from that same article. Dr. Jennifer McVeigh is treating some of the girls. There's the paraphrase, the in-text citation, and the exact quote and the end mark. And the exact quote from paragraph 3 in that article is, quote, Dr. Jennifer McVeigh, a pediatric neurologist at the Denton Neurological Institute who is treating many of the students affected, and it goes on. So the writer decided to paraphrase it and get rid of some of that descriptive information. Summarizing. Usually summarizing is used to take large amounts of text and summarize it into smaller chunks. You summarize information from a source when you take the ideas from the source and you reduce them to fewer words. It's different than paraphrasing. A paraphrase presents the original information from the source in about the same number of words or more, but the summary is definitely shorter. For example, you might summarize in your own words in one paragraph an article that is a page or longer. As a writer, you must make it clear to your reader when you are presenting a summary, and then you must cite your information. Here's a model. If you were to provide the summary and then author's last name, and sometimes that's page number, sometimes it's paragraph number, and sometimes it's just the author's last name, because if people are known to summarize a whole short story, they can't identify every page or every paragraph. That's the in-text citation. There's the end mark. Here's a model for summarizing. Symptoms include stuttering, uncontrollable twitching, movements, and verbal outbursts. This is a very short excerpt, and it's a quote from the story you saw before, and the two authors, Dolan and Carroll. The summary of that might look something like this. Many girls had visible physical responses. And the writer is using his or her own words, but is taking the number of words and seriously reducing them. Your assignment: you're going to practice this skill using 5 articles, which are the sources for your essay. As you find textual evidence to support your reasons, you'll be placing that information in the charts as either quotes or paraphrases or summaries. You also will be properly citing the source. Complete instructions are in the assignment for this step, and if you need extra help, please ask your teacher.